Okay, we've got 4 days till Christmas. Are you guys ready? Okay. Does that mean that you bought all the presents that you need to buy or none of them? You've bought none of them, either way. Okay, how many of you have watched Christmas movies so far? Okay, excellent. I do love Christmas movies. Last year I made my wife watch a movie. It was a 1950s black and white British play turned into a film, and we watched it 4 times or 3 times. I can't remember. It was 3 or 4 times. And by we watched it, I mean I watched it 4 times. 3 times she fell asleep, and I tried for 4 days in a row to get her to watch it. I really do love Christmas movies. It's The Holly and the Ivy if you are bored and want to go to sleep. And so anyway, I love that. On 3, I want you to yell at me your favorite Christmas movie. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Home Alone 2.
Okay, now I heard a lot of Home Alones. How many of you would put Home Alone in your top 5? Yeah. That's a solid. How many of you think, wait, this is controversial, Home Alone 2 or Home Alone 1?
Home Alone 2.
Oof, it's tough. It is tough. But the premise, you can't pick 4. That's the only wrong answer. All right. I'm just kidding, James. I'm giving you a hard time. Okay. Now, the premise of all those movies is the same, though. It's that one kid in the holiday season, in Christmas season, when you're supposed to be surrounded by all of your loved ones and the people you care about, is so forgotten that every single person goes on vacation without realizing that he's missing, and then they can't get back and he's alone. Now, they turned that story to being one of the most epic, as a kid, I loved that because I felt like I was ready for that. How many of you have ever, tried to booby trap something in your room? I watched Home Alone and was like, I'm going to put tripwires everywhere and weaponize my door. That was, I just thought that was the coolest thing. But if you think about the actual scenario, being left alone, nobody wants this. We love to be around people. Now, let's be fair. There are people that you don't love to be around. Is that true? Yeah, you've got some people. Your family. No. There's a lot of people that you love. There's certain people, though, that as soon as they show up, you get excited, right? You might love all the people you might care about. You have friends, that kind of thing. But when you get around your best friend, and you're like, oh, trouble is going down. When you get around, there's somebody that you see them and you're like, I'm so glad you're here, right? It's one of the questions that you will ask 1,000,000 times over the next 5 years is, hey, do you want to go to dinner? Who's going? Hey, do you want to go to the concert? Who's going to be there? Hey, do you want to come to this birthday party? Wait, who was invited? We care about who's going to be there. We want to be with people that we like and they like us. We want to be around the people that we get excited by. But what happens when none of the people that we want to be around are near? Let's be really honest. Over Christmas break, you might get to hang out with a lot of friends, but chances are a lot of your friends go to school. And over the next couple of weeks, you're not going to school, you might not see all the people that you're friends with. And it might even work out where there's going to be moments where you want to hang out with your friends and they're all busy. Or you want to spend time with your family and they're preparing things or they're doing things or they're still working or and there might be these moments, even at a time, when everybody is stopping so that they can be together. There could be moments where we feel like no one's around. Isn't that kind of crazy? And even beyond that, I mean, let's forget Christmas, because it's over in 4 days, which is crazy. But when we go back to life, isn't it true that there are going to be moments where your friends aren't available, your family's not home, and you're going to go, am I alone? Is anybody here for me? And I think the Christmas story is such an important reminder to us about a question that many of us are probably taking for granted, but is really important. Because if I say God will never leave you or forsake you, most of you in this room probably go, yeah, that's true. In fact, last service, I started talking about this, and one kid goes, I know. And I was like, okay, bud. Right? You know that God's going to be with you, and we say that God is always with me. But if God is always with me, why do I feel alone at times? If God is always with me, why is there even a chance that I would have a moment where I don't feel seen? And you know what's interesting is the way that Jesus comes to earth does something really important to showing us that Jesus does see us, that God does see us. I mean, I know we talk about the Christmas story and the way that Jesus showed up, but the way that he showed up is really crazy. It's not the way that he should have shown up. In fact, the very first thing that happens in this story is that Mary ends up having to go on a 10-day hike. Y'all know what I'm talking about? If you got a Bible, go to Luke chapter 2. We're going to look at the beginning of the story after Mary had found out she was going to give birth to Jesus, which we've talked about in weeks past already. That's kind of a big deal, and it's scary. She's pregnant. She's a teenager. She's poor. People probably want to kill her because of all of this. This is a bad setup. And to make matters worse, at the end of her pregnancy, when she's days away from having a baby, she has to go on a 10-day hike. Can you imagine? I mean, how many of you have to walk to a bus stop, or you have to, okay. Now, let's be honest. In the middle of May, walking home from that bus stop, absolutely miserable. Like, I don't want to be outside more than 5 seconds. In fact, if I'm outside 6 seconds going to my mailbox, I'm in a full body sweat, right? We just live in, but they're in Israel. It's the desert. 10-day hike. She's 9 months pregnant. She's poor. She's all the things. But here's what happens. Luke chapter 2, here's what it says. Verse 1, at that time, the Roman Emperor Augustus decreed that a census should be taken throughout the Roman Empire. So a census is a big survey. Nobody knows, Augustus was the king, he's the emperor, and he just decides, hey, I want to count everybody. I want to get a count of how many people actually live here. Real quick, everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes. I just want you to think of how many people, some of you just can't do it, huh? Can't do it? It's okay. All right, I want you to think of, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to guess how many people are in this room. You're not looking? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, out loud. 33? Does anybody actually know? 26. All right, excellent. Okay, anyway. Now, that doesn't feel right. Anyway, that's, all right, so they do a survey, they want to find out, but they It's not that easy. It's not like where they just go, hey, let's count everybody. Instead, what they do is they go, hey, let's count everybody, but let's make sure they go back to their ancient ancestors' hometown to count them. Here's what it says. All return to their own ancestral towns to register for this census. Verse 4, and because Joseph was a descendant of King David, he had to go to Bethlehem, David's ancient home. Okay, do you know how many years had been between Mary and Joseph and David? Over 1,000. Wait. So literally imagine if somebody came to you and was like, hey, I need you to go visit your family's house wherever they lived 1,000 years ago. None of us in this room would be like I have a great grandma. I had a great grandma who, my family is from Puerto Rico and from Spain. And she would, I know, isn't that surprising, Emma? But here's the deal. I have never been to Puerto Rico and I have never been to Spain. And you know what's amazing is my great grandma all the time told me, just show up and tell them that you're in my family and our family will find you. And I was like, that's not how the world works. Like, I can't just show up in a town that I've never been in and just be like, hey guys, Josh Comer's here. Who are my long lost fifth removed cousins? Right? That's not going to work. Okay, Mary and Joseph have to go to Bethlehem. Think about this. Every week in this series, we've been looking back at prophecies where God has been saying, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to send my son, and I'm going to do this, and it's going to look like this. So God has been working on this for a long time. Literally thousands of years before Jesus showed up, God had been working on all of the details, putting things together. How many of you like puzzles? Anybody like puzzles? Okay, how many of you like video games with with puzzle elements? Okay, like some different. Okay. How many of you like big art projects? Right, you like working on some big kind of things. Okay, all of those require a lot of time and effort, and you're putting all of these pieces together to make things work. Right. Imagine that God has been working on a project for thousands of years, and the big project is Him revealing Himself to the world for the very first time. For the very first time, God was going to be human, and He was going to show up, and He was going to do this. And imagine how you would plan for it. Like if I came to you right now and said, hey, I need you to plan for God to show up on earth. What would you plan? At the very least, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to buy the most expensive fireworks. I'm going to rent out the nicest place on earth. I'm going to get the best catered food. I'm going to have this is going to be shows. I'm going to invite the most famous people because I want them to be able to tell everybody. I'm going to make it big. How many of you would do a crappy job if God asked you to announce His birth, right? None of us would do a crappy job. None of us would want to embarrass God. None of us would want to do that. If God said, hey, I'm coming to earth, can you make a way for me? All of us would do the nicest possible thing. Isn't that true? So for thousands of years, guess what? For thousands of years, God has been planning this thing. And here's one of the things He says in Malachi chapter 5, verse 2. 700 years before Jesus was born, He says, you, O Bethlehem Ephrathah, are only a small village among all the people. Yet a ruler of Israel whose origins are in the distant past will come from you on my behalf. The people of Israel will be abandoned to their enemies until the woman in labor gives birth. Everything after birth is me accidentally hitting Control V, and that's not part of the verse at all, okay? But here's what it says. It says that God, thousands of years in the making, He's planning this big party. 700 years before Jesus shows up, He picks the smallest town. And then, 700 years after this, he makes a guy named Augustus Caesar declare a random census, a random survey, which forces Mary and Joseph to go to Bethlehem. Do you see that God has been working on this thing for a really long time? And then he makes this thing happen, and God picks Bethlehem. There's no one in Bethlehem. Nothing important is in Bethlehem. It's not a big city. It's not a cool city. In fact, when they get to Bethlehem, it's so small, so minute, so unimportant that they don't even have any room for Mary and Joseph. Let me ask you a question. If you are decently human, and a person shows up to your house, and they're like, hey, so sorry, my wife is giving birth to a baby right now. Could you help us? I think most of you in this room would be like, let's see what I can do. Is that fair? Okay. But Mary and Joseph show up to Bethlehem, and it says, no one has room for them. So it's not even like God picked Bethlehem because he was like, it's going to be so nice when they get there. No! They get there and no one is there to like help them out. The only room they have, most people believe it's not even a stable. Most people believe that Mary and Joseph arrived and they had to go to a cave. But it's a cave where they keep animals, which means that unlike a stable where you might get a breeze blowing through every once in a while, if it's in a cave and the animals stink, and animals do stink, and they go to the bathroom, it means that there's no fresh air making that smell nice. It means that this is the dirtiest, think about this. If Jesus had been born in 2025, he'd be in a nice hospital. Everybody would wash their hands. There'd be no germs. He would get all the right vaccine shots, things that he needed, all the ointments, all the kinds of things. They would take care of him really good. But if Jesus is born in Bethlehem in an animal barn, and then he's placed inside of a manger, which is an animal, it's basically a dog bowl for goats, right? Like they put him. This is the filthiest setup possible. Can you imagine this? The nativity probably didn't look all that pretty. It probably didn't feel all that pretty. It probably didn't feel nice. Why did God spend thousands of years planning a party and it goes to small, dirty, inconvenient? And then, on top of all of it, the Savior is born. The world is changed. God is here. And do you know what he does? God wants to tell people that the world has changed. And so he goes, and it says in Luke chapter 2 that he tells shepherds. Do you know what's interesting? Nobody in that time liked shepherds. Do you have a chore that you roll your eyes to? Okay. That was shepherding. No one wanted to be a shepherd. Here's why. Because you have to stay up all night, and you're like, I love this part, doing nothing but making sure sheep don't get killed or walk outside of a fence. Some of you are falling asleep while I'm preaching. And can you imagine, and this is like middle of the day. This is noon. You got to be 4 a.m., right? Making sure sheep aren't dying. God goes to shepherds. And he says, hey, guys, I've got the most important news in the world, and I want you to tell everybody. And guess what? Nobody likes shepherds. So the shepherds go, hey, everybody, guess what? The Savior of the world is born. And people are like, who cares? Shepherds. Why did God coordinate all of this for thousands of years to have the most lackluster, dirty, small party possible? I think because something was so important to God. And it was communicating to us that regardless of any of the circumstances, he was striving to be with you. Like he was striving to be present. He was desperate to show up. See, here's the thing. God could have showed up and Jesus could have been born at a palace to a rich and powerful family, and he could have been all of those things. And we would have looked at Jesus' story, and if you're not rich, you would have said, maybe Jesus isn't for me. We're not rich. If Jesus had come to a powerful family, and you're from a family that's really not put together, I mean, if Jesus' family is perfect and you go, but my family's not perfect, then maybe Jesus isn't for me, but Jesus' family isn't perfect either. And Jesus' star isn't rich. And Jesus' star isn't powerful. And Jesus isn't any of those things. But do you know what Jesus is? He is with you. Because he wanted to be with us. Christmas then becomes an incredible reminder, not just for Christmas, but literally for the rest of your lives. That the whole reason we have a Christmas story is because God wanted to be with you. And at the moment that you go, I don't know that I feel like God is with me, God says, I show up even in the hardest, darkest, craziest, smelliest, dirtiest, most overlooked places. I can be here with you. Because I'll be honest, none of you live in the dirtiest, smelliest, smallest, most overlooked, ancient of places. And God goes, don't worry, I've been in worse. I'll come here. Christmas reminds us that God is with you. He's with us. And if there's ever a moment that you go, I don't know if God is really here for me. I don't know if God is really present. I don't know, I feel alone. I need you to remember, God is here. When none of your friends can hang out because they're all hanging out together and they left you out, and you just feel alone, you're not alone. God's with you. And when it's been a really long time since you've seen your family because everybody's busy and all of the things and you just feel unseen, remember that God's with you. When somebody else is getting all the attention that you want and you just feel like nobody knows you, just remember, God sees you.